Hey, it's Jeremy and John with the Disc Jockey News. Today we're talking speakers, Electro-Voice compared to or versus Pioneer. The Pioneer Express compared to the Electro-Voice. This is the 12P, correct?
This is the 12P in the ETX line. So we're talking the top speakers from Pioneer DJ, which pretty much they're the only ones right now, against the top of Electro-Voice, which is the ETX model.
Exactly. So we've listened to both of these speakers. We're going to turn it up a little bit for you now. And kind of give you our perspective on what we're hearing here in the shop compared to maybe what you're hearing at home. So, yeah.
Let's put some sound to it.
Let's crank some music up. First, we're going to do the Pioneer. And then switching over to Electro-Voice.
Now, Jeremy, I think what we should do is to make this as quick. We're going to go basically one time through the loop on one speaker and one on the other. So I'm going to have you point to which one I have on.
Okay, sounds good. All right, go for it. All right. My 30 years of DJing, I still have a little bit of hearing left, so I can hear the difference between the two, which is good. So yeah.
I figured that would be a little bit easier for you guys to hear back and forth and such as we switch them. Well, we've heard them louder than this in our prior test.
We have,
we did a little bit lower volume because we're using a different microphone. Thoughts?
All right. I hear a little bit more dynamic bass out of the Pioneer compared to the Eevee, but they both sound incredible for the low end, for what you're getting out of a 12, which isn't a whole lot. I think they're both about a 2,000 watt cabinet peak. Does it sound about right?
Yeah, I think you know the SPL rating is very, very similar between the two, which is more important than the power. I'm not exactly sure. In some ways, it almost seems like the Pioneer might have just a little bit more on the top when you're pushing and such. It just sounded like it had more to give.
I totally understand that. I'm hearing that as well. Standing off to the side, maybe when we did our first couple of tests a few minutes ago, and I was off to the side that John's on right now, I was hearing the Pioneer off to the side of that horn clearer than the Eevee off to the side. Maybe the spread was a little bit different.
I think so, because that's one of the things that we've talked about with the ETX, is the ETX has a more of a directional throw.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think that the Pioneer, we'd have to go and look and see. You guys can go and check it out in the specs. But I think there's a wider dispersion. And you could hear that even standing in front. It almost has more of a 3D effect to the highs on the Pioneer than you do on the ETX.
You do. I love both cabinets. They both sound great. My go-to, if I was just going to grab a cabinet and go and do a gig, I'd probably pick the Pioneer over the Eevee, depending on the situation. If I was going to go do a wedding, I think I would stick with the Eevee.
And I think it would really depend on my application because of the long throw. And I myself, I have both the ETX and the EKX in the Electro-Voice line. The EKX, I feel, has a wider dispersion. And if I want to have the sound a little closer to the dance floor, I'm going to go there. If I need a longer throw, I'm going here. So I really think that we're hearing that difference.
We are.
In a short range. In a long range, we would hear it more noticeably, I think.
You really
as
do.
we would as we go. So it's really it's the right gig for the right rig for the gig. I think is what, there we go.
That's exactly
right
it.
Rig for the gig. Yes. And Ben talks about this on our show all the time.
Yeah.
And this is really a situation where they're going to fit different applications differently, and you really hear that even in our short little test here.
They are, but the guy that's investing in either one of these, he's not going to go out and get both.
Right.
You know, so which one is he really going to want to go with? God, you know, you got to do your research, which you're doing right now, but
I don't think you're going to go wrong with either of the
cabinets.
cabinets.
Not at all.
They're both
very similar.
You're talking two very high-end speakers, and It's kind of nice that there is a little bit of a difference between the two, because then you can go and listen to them live and say, yeah, I like that more than that. And that's going to happen. I mean, everyone has different tastes when it comes to audio.
Yeah. The components in the back, can we show people the back?
Yeah, we can turn around.
Okay, cool. All right, so we flip the speakers around, kind of see what we got going on the back here. So the Pioneer and Eevee are a bit different. The Eevee has the DSP, where the Pioneer does not. Now, the thing that I like about the Pioneer a little bit different than the Eevee is it's very simple to control. You just got a few knobs, you get your microphone in, you've got an auxiliary in, which is nice, got a couple of different levels, you've got your mix out, which you've got the same here, but it's very simple to run. You don't have to get into this as much at all, really. John, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the DSP in this, digital signal processing on the Electro-Voice, you can do a lot of different things. We can adjust, the gains and different volumes, and we can set it for do some EQ settings and different things. We can set it, if it's going to be flying, if it's going to be a monitor, just a lot of different things. And we can set limit on it and control the lights and such. There's a lot of functionality built into this, and that's done by design, because when the people who are using this are doing really, really intense things. Not that you're not doing intense things with this, but they had to up the game because they've had the DSP in it for a while, and they had to add a lot of features to it. Probably the coolest feature with the DSP on the ETX line is the ability to set that delay.
Yeah.
So I can have my sound system here, and then 100 feet ahead I could have two more speakers, two more ETX speakers, and I can set a delay based on 100 feet from the mains, and then just envision the sound waves as they're going along. When they hit these speakers, they're all going, the sound coming out of those speakers, they're all going to be kind of synced up, because these are delayed, so their sound gets there, and then that sound is being created. So you're not having this weird echo effect, and that's a really cool feature, and that's only on the ETX speakers as of right now from Electro-Voice, and that's why I bought these. I mean,
it's something you cannot do with the Pioneers. You've got the capabilities of doing that with the Eevee, and you don't have that with the Pioneers.
Yeah, and you mentioned, of course, the aux in. That is something I wish the ETX had, and I understand that I could do something and I can run the the RCA and get the adapter and go into there. But there's just times where it's like, oh, I've got that RCA from my iPad, and I would just pop it in there. That would have been nice, but it's just one of those things. To a point, when I see that, there's a part of me that thinks, oh, it's a kind of a lesser, not a super pro line speaker, because you kind of don't see those on the
you don't. No.
But it's a feature I would have liked.
Cabinets made in the USA compared to a cabinet made in Japan, so there's a bit of a difference there.
They're both tanks. They're both heavy.
They really are. They really are. Oh, one big thing. Not really big, but kind of big for us mobile guys. The bags, the covers. The Pioneer cover is very nice. It's got a nice foam on the front and a nice padding on the front. Where the ETX cover,
it's just a thin padding.
It's just a thin padding all the way around. The Pioneer is a better cover. If you're looking at having a nice cover on a speaker, the ETX is a cover. It works just fine. It's got a slider in the side or whatever to put your IEC cables and your XLR cables, whatever. But the Pioneer cover I like better.
Let's look at one last thing before we wrap up. Jeremy, can you tip that speaker? We'll shut them off, and let's set it. I want to set them on so we can see the bottom of them.
Okay.
Because that's another thing that the ETX has that's really kind of cool. Can we tip that like that?
Absolutely.
Because I think they are the same on the bottom. That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought they were. What you're seeing here is there's two pole mounts on each of these cabinets. One is for the times when you want the speaker to be straight up and down, and the other is like probably about a 7 to 10 degree, depending upon the cabinet and manufacturer. Yeah. But it's a little bit of a tip down, so you can direct that sound down if the speakers are a little higher. Where this really comes into play is if you've got a room that's got hard walls, a lot of glass, when you tip that down just a little bit, it really takes some of that echo from the room out. So
it's incredible, yeah.
This is a really kind of a cool feature, and you're finding this on some of the higher end speakers. Yeah. If your speakers don't have this capability, you can get a little adapter that will make your speaker stands tip, but both the ETX and the Express speakers have that capability.
To add on to that, both of these speakers also have kind of the rubber on the side here to make it a monitor.
Oh yeah, yep, exactly. You can set them on there,
kind of on their sides, and they both have that same type of a monitor type look if you need a monitor for any situation. Awesome.
So really nice speakers here from Electro-Voice and the Pioneer speakers.
Yeah.
You guys get a chance to hear them and such. Let us know what you think. Which one sounded better in the test? Did you like the Pioneer? Did you like the EV speaker? Put that down in the comment section down below. We really appreciate and enjoy hearing what your thoughts are on these speakers.
Hey, it's Jeremy and John. Thanks for watching.
Bye.